The Working Actor NYC, that's Patrick Richwood.
It's Benjamin Howes.
I don't know which way to point. Why do I not know which way to point?
Straight ahead. That's always what I do.
I know if you don't know which direction it's supposed to be, just
Nothing.
point straight ahead.
That's you. You're always in the future, looking at me and waving just up ahead.
We have an extremely interesting episode of the Working Actor NYC today because we normally do this live on a Saturday afternoon, and guess what day it is?
Yeah, it's not Saturday at all.
It's Thursday.
It's Tuesday.
And the reason... Oh, go on.
And so we're not live. That's all I was saying.
We're not live. And the reason we're not live is because my father-in-law passed away yesterday. Rest in peace, Marvin Nicholson. And tomorrow I fly to Indiana for a funeral. Now, technically, I could pack up my microphone and my digital interface and my laptop, and
you fucked me pumps.
Exactly, and do everything live from a hotel room in Indiana. And then I'm like, why am I putting myself through that?
Stressful.
So instead, we are recording today's live podcast episode, and I'm going to a funeral, and sometimes over the weekend I'll edit this together and we'll drop the episode on Monday like we always do. So, I mean, this event in my life brought up a topic for us to discuss. Actors spend an enormous amount of energy trying to stop life from interfering with their career, but eventually you have to ask, how much are you willing to let your career interfere with your life?
I mean, or even perceive it that way, right?
There's the show must go on mentality, which there's an enormous mythology around never missing a performance. There's this heroism that goes along with someone who goes on when they're sick or they're injured or they're exhausted.
Well, do you know where that started?
Well, is it Ethel Merman?
It's pre-Ethel Merman.
Pre-Ethel Merman, okay.
But Ethel Merman famously never missed a show. I think she had like laryngitis one night in her entire whole career.
2 performances
she'd go,
yeah.
Okay, I'm ready.
Right.
Ready to go on. And they'd say, Miss Merman, you're on. How am I doing? Anyway, there's lots of stories about her, but it started because it started, I think, on the West End. I might be wrong about this. The tradition of never missing, because it's when there were stars and people would be coming just to see the stars. That's always been the case. But at some point, ticket sales started to become, the bean counters got involved, and it got to the point where if the headliner missed the show, they'd have to cancel. Or they'd lose money, even though there was always a standby. Nobody ever expected to use them. Case in point, Elaine Stritch, who was famously Ethel Merman's standby.
Yeah.
Call Me Madam, I think it was. And she never went on. And she went on. She was going back and forth to Connecticut or wherever to do, get ready to do another show. And
what's that?
Sing a song that would make her famous. So, but in any case, that's what it started out as. You just didn't miss a show. And so consequently, if the chorus or the ensemble, they wouldn't dream of missing because Miss Merman never missed. So it became a thing. And then, but it was pre-Merman. I mean, goes back past before Barrymore's and the Barrymore's. I'm sure this probably goes back to, Shakespeare's time, where it was like, you just wouldn't dream of it. Also, there weren't any understudies.
But why do we admire it so much? Like, why is there so much mythology around it? Why do we admire it?
It gathered the mythology later. It became one of those things that people started to think, oh, it's a tradition. It shows your mettle. And I don't think that's how it started. I really don't. I just think it was more of a practicality. Like I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose the house. And the other, and it's like break a leg. People are like, well, it's obvious. So you say the opposite of what good luck is. No, it actually comes from Shakespeare's time, where to to bow was to bend the leg was to break the leg. That was the words. And so the deeper you bowed, the further you had to break, the harder you had to bend your leg. So they would say, I hope you break a leg, meaning I hope you really have to take a deep bow.
Right.
Several bows. That's how that started.
So have you ever gone on when you absolutely should not have?
I did. I have. Yeah. I was in Little Shop of Horrors. It was the very first regional production of it ever. And,
oh my God, really?
Yep. We used the original plant. They were just retiring the plant that was about 9 months old.
Oh my
the
gosh.
plant that Marty Robinson designed. And that thing lasted for lots of shows after ours. And we used all the original plants. And yeah, and it was in a little theater in Cohoes, New York, of all places. And anyway,
and how sick were you?
I couldn't talk. I had no voice. I came down with laryngitis, and I felt perfectly fine energetically. I didn't seem to have a fever. I simply
nothing
couldn't
came
talk.
out. Yeah.
And I had an understudy, but he wasn't really an understudy. He was the standby drummer who was not an actor. And he didn't know any of it. He knew the songs, but he didn't know any of the dialogue. And he was terrified, and he begged me. He came to me and begged me to go on because he was too terrified. And so I went on. And what was interesting was I was young. I bounced right back, then we had a weekend and I was fine. But I mean, we had a day off and I was fine. But I remember being shocked by the fact that I could sing perfectly fine. It was talking. I couldn't. I was like, oh,
isn't that funny? Something about the placement. There's something about the placement of when you're singing. There's something about the way you focus and place your voice that makes it easier to concentrate enough energy in the right place, exactly the right place that you can manage it. But then somehow we take away that.
Possible.
Yeah,
it's weird. Anyway, the point is, I've never felt so stressed or so appreciative of understudies because they whenever I'm in a show where there aren't any understudies, or they're not rehearsed, or they don't know the material and everybody's acting like they do. I recently did a show not too long ago, somewhere else. And they had understudies for each of us. It was a 3-person play, and they had understudies for each of us. But the understudies weren't really understudies. They were interns. They were busy, and they didn't have any rehearsal. They hadn't had any rehearsal. And this was a really physical comedy heavy show. Lots of intricate things. It went from very funny to very dark. It hit all the things that cause you to need in-depth rehearsal. And all 3 of us got sick. All 3 of us got COVID. And we felt that we had to go on, or they would have had to cancel because it was all 3 of us. And the understudies were not at all ready. And they were all in denial about that. Everybody at the theater was like, yeah, they are. They can totally go on. And you're thinking, in what magic world do you live? I've been doing this for 45 years. How are you talking to me with a straight face right now? We'll figure it out. They'll hold the script. Anyway, I really love having an understudy who's ready. And I know that when I've understudied, those people love it because I'm ready. It takes the pressure off.
Yeah. Look, I think the rulings around understudies has gotten stronger, particularly in the post-COVID world. And my feeling is going on sick doesn't make you more of a consummate professional. You can make the performance worse. You can make your cast
You can get them sick. Yeah.
You can get them sick. You can make yourself sicker. You can, and if the cast gets sick, then the show gets canceled anyway, because, you can cost the production. At some point, it's like at some point the show must go on becomes, I have decided that the entire company should have whatever I have,
Right. It's so funny. It's so true. That's so true. I've seen people get so angry when someone shows up sick. Really, like if super angry, like you're going to be written up for this. I really resent this. You know what I mean? So I never have, but I would have absolutely called out if that understudy hadn't come to me and said, please, I'm begging you, I would have gone out, stayed. I don't have a problem staying out. When I first started, they had personal days on a production contract. And that meant once every, I don't know what it was, once every quarter or once every 6 months or something, you could call out for a personal day. And in those days, you did not have to give them a reason. As long as you gave them 2 hours notice, I think it was, you could say, I'm calling out tonight for my personal day. And they'd have to say, okay.
I call them mental health days. When I was on tour, because I've spent a lot of my life on tour, and they were long tours. My very first tour, I remember, like in month 8 or 9 or something, I just got to a point and I was like, I need an emotional health day. I need to be not in the show tonight. And so I just called out and said I was sick and took myself out to a nice restaurant.
Yeah. See, I don't ever want to have to say I'm sick when I'm not, because I just am like, I'm so healthy. So I'm like, I will never do that, but I will always. But now you have to say, I'd like to schedule a personal day. Like on Broadway, you have to schedule a personal day in advance, and you have to tell them there's only some certain number of reasons. I'm not sure what Actors Equity says about that, but sometimes but it's important to have mental health. Hello, what are you doing, anybody, by showing
I don't know
up
if. And I feel like that conversation has also gotten better over in recent years, but I don't know if there are any particular rulings about it at the moment. I'm not au fait with the current regulations around that. Perhaps I should.
Au fait? I would like to point out the opposite, though. There are so many Broadway companies and tours where people are out every day, and they're just always calling out, and they're not sick. They're just calling out. And a friend of mine was the wardrobe supervisor on a big Broadway show, and she's assistant. She stepped in as wardrobe supervisor. She was assistant wardrobe supervisor for a while, and she showed me. She wasn't supposed to, but she showed me the email with the call out, the week of outs, and it was like there were 5 people out every show. Or something like it was ridiculous, and it wasn't because of illness. It wasn't illness going through the company. It was just, there is also a kind of laissez-faire that you see with younger professionals, where they're like, they don't have the reference for it that I do or that you do. Probably they come off stage and they get right on their phone and they're texting, or they call out, or there's a different. They hold it at a different standard, or they hold themselves at a different standard, I think.
Maybe, can you just imagine being so used to being on Broadway? They're just like, oh, it doesn't matter if I call out. I'm like, oh no, this is Broadway. This is what I moved countries to do. I'm not calling out because I'm bored.
That's what I think has perpetuated that never miss thing. But also I think it starts to become a point of pride for people. Marion Seldes, the wonderful actress, never missed a performance in Death Trap, and it ran for like 5 years. She never missed a single performance, and she was very, very proud of that. And she was a wonderful actress. She always brought the A game, and she just was extremely proud of that. She felt like she was honoring she had such gratitude for being on the stage. She never lost it. She was 1,000 years old, but she didn't ever lose it, ever. And I really admire that. I love that.
I just wanted to point out to our friends over, because there's a hell of a conversation going on. Laura Ann Merez is over on TikTok. And I just want to point out to our friends on TikTok that if they hit the first link in my link tree, they can find us this very episode on YouTube and join in the conversation over
Come
here.
On over.
But they're having a massively fascinating conversation with each other in the comments over on TikTok. So
what are they saying?
It's very dear. Oh, about other things. Laura Ann Merez, I met this morning. She came up to my live this morning, and she's a voice actor in Kansas City. And so we had a fascinating conversation, totally fascinating. But if you want to join this conversation over here and look at Patrick Richwood, whose face is beautiful, you can join us over here. But the thing that I sort of wanted to get to next was, okay, calling out of a show is one thing, right? But what happens when it's like an audition or a callback or some sort of event where there's an opportunity in it for you? I feel like there's totally different emotional baggage that goes along with that. I don't know. Do you have this perspective? I feel as though the times that I've had to call and say to my agent, I simply cannot go to this audition. I am just too sick. I find it harder to let go of the audition. There's a part of me that still hangs on to, I could have been fantastic in that show, and it's gone on without me, and it's all because I got sick that one time.
Well, we actors tend to have, unless the opportunities are coming, in plentifully, and the jobs and the auditions are coming plentifully. We have a little form of fear of FOMO, which is. Yeah. This could be the one. And I have had traumatic situations, really traumatic situations. In one case where I miss out on possibly playing a series regular on a show that ran for, I forget, 8 years on a network show that ran for, it was between me and another guy. And I did not know I was going to network until the morning of. My agent was in conversations with head of casting at Warner Brothers, Rosemary. Anyway, I forgot her name. Anyway, and he couldn't reach me because it was the first day that my then boyfriend, who was really we were really serious, was had off. And so we had walking on the beach and running in slow motion and playing hide and seek around a tree day. And it was, walking on the sand and laughing at little things that we both think are fun. And, while the music is playing in the background.
And the video is in soft filter and
and they're playing a summer day. So and when I got home, there were, I think it was 18 voice messages on my answering machine. That was when we had answering machines, from my agent, ranging from very excited in the morning all the way through, I don't know if you're dead or not. Now I don't even care. This opportunity is gone.
Yeah,
I'm humiliated. I don't know what's the matter with you. And it was all because I hadn't checked my message machine, which you could do, from I think that was pre-cell phones. Yeah, it was pre-cell phones, because he made me get a pager after that. He did. I said, I know you'll want to release me, and I don't blame you. And he said, no, I'm not going to release you, but you have to get a pager today. Yeah. And the show was Third Rock from the Sun.
Oh, Patrick, this would be a different course of history.
Yeah, but it was, I wish it hadn't been such a traumatic lesson, because it made me feel like I couldn't go anywhere or do anything ever again. And I had to kind of get over that.
This is exactly what we're gonna get into, is that exact feeling. Diamond's Music 6413 once shouted out, went to see Masterclass on Broadway 3 times in the late 1990s, and Audra McDonald was out all 3 times.
Wow.
Who does she think she is? Just because she's got more Tonys than anybody else.
Who does she think she is? Audra McDonald or somebody? No, but that is very disappointing when you go and you see, and you go back and that person's still not in it. It's not that the understudy might be wonderful. It's just you want to see what all the fuss is about. It's like, I get that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Laura Ann Merez is doing an amazing job of moderating this live on TikTok. But if anybody wants to see the full YouTube shenanigans, the link is in my link tree. Go to my profile, hit the link tree, and it'll be the first option on the link tree to come over to the YouTube channel and see the shenanigans over here.
Easy peasy. Easy peasy. You really don't want to miss me.
Well, that
when
part.
you need a mental relief day from Benjamin, you come over here to this side of the screen. And when you need a mental relief day from me, you go over to Benjamin. See, that's how it works. We are each other's.
But the trouble is that, with this acting career thing that we do, is that, depending on where you are in it, it feels like anything can be that opportunity that you can't miss, whether it's a callback or a meeting or a workshop or a industry event
a
or
reading or anything.
reading.
Yes.
God damn it, the readings, the networking opportunities, the whatever it is. It's just that we feel beholden to the industry to be just available. Just be available.
I mean, I don't think of it as to the industry. I rarely think of the industry at all because I don't know why. It's too conceptual for me, I guess. I think of it like it might be the one. This might be the one that I'll miss.
It might be the one.
That this might be the one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, if auditions are coming plentifully, I do not have a problem going, okay, I can't do that. If it's not something I want to do anyway, I will go to auditions for stuff that I don't think I'm right for and give it my best shot if I can do well. If my interpretation of a role I don't think I'm probably gonna get is still good, because that's gotten me work. That has actually gotten me jobs at that theater later on. That's happened to me a couple of times.
Yeah.
So in one case, not too long ago, they just offered me a job in I auditioned for a comedy, sort of a mystical comedy, and I ended up getting a job in a musical. And that was based on my audition for the
musical
play.
comedy. Yeah.
Well, it was a play. It was a very interesting, romantic, thoughtful play, and it had some funny in it. So, of course, when I came in and did it, it was a comedy. But I think but my point is, I did my thing. I did my best, and it landed somewhere with them, and they held on to that. And
there are no wasted opportunities. So, I mean, it's just.
No. It's an opportunity, like my teacher used to say, to act on a Tuesday, and that's what we do. We act. But so I never thought of it as like letting the industry down as much as like, what if I'm letting myself down? What if this is that time? But it's a lot harder when auditions are slow.
I agree.
Or you're not working, because every single one then holds inordinate amount of value that it really doesn't actually have. We imbue it with all this extra weight and value and import, when really it's like, it's just an audition. It's not a job offer, and it's not any, you know what I mean? It's just another opportunity to do my thing. But it seems like so much more because it's been oh my God, it's been so long since I had an audition for these people. Right, like that. I think that's a big part of it.
Yes, Snapshot Sniper, that is a celebrity right there. That's Patrick Richwood, ladies and gentlemen.
How do you know he's not talking about you?
Also says the industry has changed. Raggedy Annie, I think this is Laura Ann from TikTok, says the industry is letting you down. What you mean? But the what I can point to in my career there have definitely been times where I have let I can't walk away right now derail my life in certain ways. Like there are so many weddings of dear close friends back in Australia that I have missed. I like the events that I've missed because I'm like, I just can't walk away like now. And sure, flying to Australia, some of that was money.
I was just gonna say, I mean, it's not only money, but time. I mean, that's different. It's not like driving upstate. You're going to another continent. It's gonna take days. So it is a little bit different.
Yes, and
anybody can understand, you picking and choosing at least.
But there was still like that fear of, but I am building something here. I need to be available, cause what if something comes up?
What if?
It's that
the famous what if.
Yeah.
Hashtag what if can go fuck itself. That's what I should put on my t-shirt. What if can suck my dick? That's what I'll put on the t-shirt.
New merch for the Working Actor NYC.
Because actually people wouldn't like that, because what if also usually can mean like possibility, right? So I can't do that one. Oh well. There goes my next
it's like protecting my availability for something that's not even tangible. It's not even real. It's protecting my availability for a possibility, like an audition or a connection or a meeting or a relationship. And it just seems like that doesn't feel healthy to me.
No, because it's not well-rounded. Now, granted, I've never been a well-rounded person. So I should
Things I'm not great at. Well-rounded.
well-roundedness. Okay, so I just should explain that I'm the, ADD?
Who's she?
Well, I'm the poster child for ADD. So I can, and the kind I have, I can only do one thing at a time. Multitasking is just simply not in my genetic makeup.
Yeah.
Except on rare occasions, I have multitasked, and it's been fascinating because it's like, and it's always because of it's because I'm doing something for somebody else, and I just have to I have to become
another
daddy
person.
and
Yeah.
take over, Only then have I ever been, so it's possible, but I cannot at all. It's not my propensity. So I don't, so when people say, like, you're in these talkbacks after long runs and you're sitting on the stage with the other actors and they act, like there's groups of college kids and they're going, what do you do to stay this? Or how do you, and so often actors, the actors in their late 20s and early 30s are like, you have to have lots of other things and other interests. You gotta, I've got my family, I've got my kids, I've got a rock band, I've got a recording studio. I make
You should
movies,
see my vegetable garden. Yes. And I do pottery. Yeah.
And after the initial thought, which is go fuck yourself. Then the next thought, the next thought is, I am I'm so glad they didn't ask me, because I would be like, this is the only thing. When I'm in a show, I bring things to do, like on the road. I'm going to get those taxes started, or I'm going to this, or I'm going to that. I'm going to write that novel. None of it ever. And I have 45 years of experience with this. It never gets touched because all I'm doing is the show, the cast, the group that I'm with, seeing where I am,
what's right in front of you,
and the show. It's honestly all about. I wouldn't be there if it were. And that's just me. But so I say that because we're talking about being well-rounded, and it's like, not so much. I don't have any.
Not your forte.
I do. I will, however, say that when I'm not playing a role, like right now, I find I'm painting. Or I'm writing, I'm working on my graphic novel again, because those things in my mind are made out of the same stuff. They come from the exact same bandwidth. I'd rather be acting. I love acting or directing. But if I'm writing, or if I'm illustrating, or painting a mural, or painting a painting, or then I really feel like I'm tapping into that same zone. It's definitely, I find it's all sourced from one bandwidth. That's my view.
So then my question is, what do you do about those sort of impossible choices? Because this is sort of what I dealt with a little bit this week. My father-in-law died. Of course, I'm going to the funeral. And I start rehearsals for a new show on Friday. So Thursday is a travel day. So between the death and the rehearsal, I get to say to my family, hey, I know we've got a funeral to organize. Here's when I can be in Indiana. And I for a moment, it felt like I was being selfish and making the funeral about me. But then the flip side is that I think that because of the amount of emotion ping-ponging around the family, maybe that was also a focusing thing. And people saying like, well, great, then it's got to be on Tuesday. So great. Tuesday, here we go. Do you know what I mean? So it's sort of like it's uncomfortable, but it's also reality, and trying to find the way to thread the needle or make both work.
I guess it depends on the family and everything. I know families that would be like, fuck you, come to the funeral. You can't make it. You know what I mean?
We're going to have the funeral when we have the funeral, whether you're there or not.
Yeah. It depends on the family. But I do, so it speaks very high, it speaks well of you. That family is like, no, we'll figure it out. But also, there's just a lot of, it does depend on how much of that fear of missing out thing you particularly have. Like we all have it, for sure. but I'm not. I've heard of actors, and friends of mine have done this, and I've done it once in my whole career, where I go, "Oh, I can't make that. I'm going to have to come a week late, and to start, into rehearsal a week late because I'm in this." And they go, "Okay, we'll take you a week late." That's. I've only ever asked for that once and gotten it. Sometimes I've asked my agent, "Can you see if I can start later?" Because I was going to go, and they try and they don't get it. And so
I've had that happen too.
But I have friends who, it's extraordinary. They're like, they won't, okay, they'll postpone shooting for you. They're changing the production schedule. It's like, what? And that it does happen, Okay, honestly, I move everything around me. As it should be, Raggedy Annie. As it should be, as you should. Funeral schmuneral.
If it's a funeral, I always show up. I mean, it's just the crossing state lines part of it for me that I just had to be conscious of. Luckily, it made perfect sense to me, and then I said it out loud, and I was like, "Oh God, should I feel uncomfortable about this?" And then it all worked out. So
yeah, and not for nothing, but by the way, but if you put exercise a little faith in yourself, you can say, I can always hang up a sheet and do an audition from wherever I am in a bedroom somewhere. And I have, and I say in the thing,
oh yeah,
it's going to be echoey. I'm not at home. I'm looking after a family member. So pretend you're in a empty theater. I just try and have gotten work from it. So it's totally doable. Where that's the great thing about self-tapes. I mean, it's really extraordinary.
Right,
unless
you can.
as the service is happening, it's like I can slip away somewhere, or I can rent a studio, or there's any number of things, and that we can do.
I'll bet there are people in the world, I think I'm not one of them, who abuse the privilege of asking their agent to ask them if I can come in a week late or whatever. But I mean, I've certainly never been in that position. But I'll bet there are people for whom I have a commitment is legitimate, and sometimes it's not, and they just try to take advantage of it. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know why. Who wants to miss rehearsal? You're going to be...
Well, that's the fun part, right?
Yeah, I think so. But also, you mean rehearsal, right? Not missing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, it's like you're putting yourself inordinate pressure on yourself. In this case, my character had a wonderful long art scene with a song in the middle of it. It was great. So I could rehearse it I could get it ready on my own, and then be plugged in, right?
Yeah.
This was She Loves Me in
Bucks County.
And I was doing something else. I was in another show. I just couldn't come till a week late,
right?
And it was perfectly within their rights to say no. We'd rather have, but I could see also them going, no, it's not going to be a problem. We've got a lot to do, and we're going to plug your thing in, and so that's what they did, and it worked. And they rehearsed me plenty, and it was great. But
well, it was okay. I saw your performance, and it was all right.
I mean, it went great. The rehearsal period. I didn't. Shut up, Benjamin. You shut up.
I'm obsessed with you.
I think it's not, I don't know very many people who want to abuse the system. I've heard of some of them. I guess I don't socialize with them. I don't like people who want to abuse the system. I find them.
But it's also icky. You're literally finding the opportunity to not act. I'm looking for opportunities to act. I don't want to
Now,
but
I will say this.
Oh, you go on.
Oh, I was just going to say, there was a time, a long time ago, I was doing a lot of TV, and I absolutely promised myself I would take a vacation for 8 days, 10 days, whatever it was, in Europe. I had never been to Europe. I was like 24, 25, I don't know, something like that. And I had been making money, and I was doing well, and I was like, I'm taking a trip to Europe between this commercial and this thing. And I was like, and I'm doing it. And my agent was like, and I was like, no, this is schedule around it. And I stuck to it. And I was so proud I stuck to it, because but again, if it had been a desert, I might have felt differently about it. But things were going well, and it was plentiful, and I felt I could do it. So it just really does depend on.
It really depends. Like the time I will book a vacation is for a week in the middle of a national tour, because I know the national tour is going to last for a year and I'm going to want a vacation in the middle of it. So that is when I will actually book a vacation for myself.
That's very nice.
But it really does depend on the circumstances around it. And I mean, this sort of just brings up a point for me, is that when 28-year-old Benjamin moved to America, that Benjamin is going to make totally different decisions than 54-year-old Benjamin. Oh my God, I'm 55. 55-year-old Benjamin will make. You know what I mean? And I feel like that those two people should make different decisions. Priorities have shifted. Priorities have changed.
Yeah. Also, when I was a kid, when I came to New York, I was 19, and all I did was audition for stuff and try and get an agent and stand outside of the Equity Building in line waiting to get a number to go in for an open call. And
oh, honey, you think I didn't do that at 28, huh?
Yeah, but we had at 20, and it's even more. You have even more energy than at 28. Which at 28 you have a lot of fucking energy, and it's like, I don't know how I did it all. I socialized. I did this. I did that.
Yeah.
I worked so many different kinds of jobs.
Yeah.
I could do a monologue of just the jobs I've worked, and it would be so funny because I've really done it all. I was a bike messenger. I cleaned houses. I was the Macy's Easter Bunny. I was a street mime. This was in the 80s. You name it, I did it. I was a busboy. The only thing I didn't do was a waiter. I was not ever a waiter. Isn't that ironic? Of all the things. Because actors are always just, are waiters. But I couldn't get a job as a waiter. I didn't have the right look. I didn't have the right look. That's back when they were really,
But I do feel like early career is sort of, early career decisions are made by sort of scarcity and urgency and trying to prove yourself,
Lots and lots of yes. Lots and lots of. Didn't you find you were saying yes to everything? Just life, you were saying yes all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I still feel like I'm pretty good at that. But now it's sort of tempered with a bit of, these opportunities will come and they will go. And if this one goes, I know that it's only making way for something new. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm a bit more zen about it now. It's not like I've gone from being a yes to being a no. It's that I understand the balance of it. If I say no to this opportunity, I'm not saying full stop. It just opens an opportunity.
You're still a yes. I think you're still a yes. You just added an ingredient. Age has added an ingredient, which is wisdom.
Yeah,
we didn't have it when we were younger. We might have had smarts or chutzpah or cheekiness or and talent. Obviously, great talent.
Yeah,
but it was but not wisdom. Wisdom comes with I don't say yes to everything. I only do roles that speak to my heart. Good for you, Raggedy.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's wonderful. I feel like terrific.
Good for you. Yeah, absolutely good for you.
Because if it's speaking to your heart, then that means you're leading from your heart. And what artist? Really, wrong. All artists, we should all be leading from our heart. I've met so many actors, professional actors, who act like business people. They're not what how I am at all. They are really punch the clock actors. They bitch about stuff. They're very corporate thinking. They strategize. They're always talking about management and this and that, the other thing. There's no. I've worked with many an actor who they just, if they have that vulnerability and that passion for what they do, they don't show it. And it's very much like, this is just a job for you, isn't it?
I just saw a fascinating interview with, oh, God damn it, what's his name? British actor, older. I first became aware of him as the rock star in Love Actually. Bill Nighy.
Oh, Bill Nye. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful actor. And he was being interviewed and was talking about how this young lady came up to him and said, "Oh, you were so wonderful in your performance. You're so wonderful in your performance." And he was just like, "Well, I'm just doing my job." She's like, "But weren't you feeling things?" And it's like, no. I was working. I was just doing my job. Like the place for feeling things is somewhere else. I just thought it was fascinating that somebody that we can be so inspired by has that kind of punching in, punching out kind of mentality about it. Although I do wonder in his if a little bit of that is a bit of, that's the story that he tells in order to maintain the mystery.
Or it could also be, because I understand he's a kind of a pretty humble guy. It could also be him sort of deflecting like any kind of talk that's accoladal or whatever you call it.
Yeah, sure.
And be, like sort of like being, it's just a job. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And that could also be, I don't know. I didn't see the interview, but I mean, I didn't see but it seems like that could be the case. But I definitely have worked with actors who are not that. They're like, might as well work on Wall Street. And it's not that they're not good. Every single person I'm thinking of is good. They're all good on stage. So it's not that. It's just that it's not my cup of tea. It's not my favorite type of personality to work with. I love being, part of what I love about being an actor is I'm surrounded by artists of all different kinds. The designers.
There's
and the
passion there. There's
everything.
love, there's passion, there's heart involved in it.
Yeah.
I like it when acting involves heart. But I think you're right. At this stage of my life, I've realized that I have a career in order to have a life, and it is finding that balance of the thing I'm trying to sustain isn't just a career. It's me, it's my relationship, it's my actual life. It's not as black and white as, career good, family bad. You know what I mean? It's totally not black and white. I don't want a life where acting always comes second. I love this work. I've built my life around it, but I also don't want to wake up one day and realize that I've built a career by being absent from my own life.
Your life. Yeah, that's right. That is a legitimate fear. I mean, we've all seen Valley of the Dolls. Oh no, maybe not. Maybe not our listeners. But Careful. If you haven't seen Valley of the Dolls, watch it and you'll know just what I'm talking about. The original one with Susan Hayward. Susan is Hayward, I think. Patty Duke. Acting is heart work.
It's heart work.
If my heart isn't in it, I don't want to do it. Right. Let me ask you something, Raggedy Andy. What's Raggedy Andy's name?
Laura Ann.
Laura Ann, let me ask you something. Do you have you ever had that job where you really did have to do it and where your heart wasn't in it, but you just put your head down and did it?
Yeah. Where did this? I'm interested where this. Oh no, she did say something.
My life and acting have a good flow. Diana made me comfortable with saying no. Yeah,
I'm not sure who Diana is.
Diana Castle. She's talking about Diana Castle, a teacher.
Oh.
My life and acting life has a good flow. Yeah, but ask yourself that. I mean, let us know. I'd be curious to know if you've ever had a job where it was like, well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to just go ahead and I got to do this one. I need the insurance weeks, or I need or whatever.
Yeah.
I want to work with this director. So you put your head down and do it, even though it's not resonating with you. Let us know, because I'd be curious about that.
Yeah. I've certainly done that where I am like, oh, I'm going to take this. Oh, she says I haven't yet.
Okay, great. Good.
Props to you, because I know I've certainly taken what I call parallel moves that I'm not especially excited about, that aren't going to necessarily progress my career forward because I need weeks for my health insurance. So, I mean, I've certainly done that. Doesn't mean I don't enjoy them.
Yeah, I don't see myself, but I haven't been put in that situation. Yeah. That's good. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, me too.
You're talking about Diana Castle, right? Is that who you were talking about? No, we're having this private conversation. Sorry. I'm just assuming that's who you're talking about. Okay. So anyway, circling back to this thing of like, the balance. I think everybody finds balance in their own way. I thought so. I know who you are now. I know who you are. I find that it's the way I balance is partially that a lot of all the creativity that I love doing comes from the same bandwidth. That's one of the things that balances me in my the way I look at life. The other, I like to think of it like that, like it's all coming from there. Another thing that balances me in my life, because of the instability of the acting business, is I believe that whether it's a drop full or a barrel full, it's the same. I
Yeah.
think it has the same effect. I think the impact we make with our hearts, with our art is, or as artists, as artistic souls, is as impactful with, even if it's a drop or if it's a barrel. I really
Yeah.
believe that. And I've seen that in my career, and I've seen that in other people's career. And it's in that case, honestly, size doesn't matter. And now let's talk about my
now let's talk about your acting career. You know, I mean, look, part of the challenge of being a working actor, of being somebody who makes a sustainable career out of acting, is that you are going to come up against these choices where you have to choose life or choose the career, and you just got to accept that one thing is going to take priority over the other at that time. And sometimes the answer is record the podcast on Thursday.
That's right, bitches. I mean, really, you know, ultimately there's always a way, there's always a workaround. Almost always there's a workaround. And this is sort of sums up all the different facets we've talked about, because when you think, well, they won't give me the job unless I can show up on day one, you're wrong. You know, you could be wrong. I mean, oh, well, they won't give me more than they said in the breakdown that they're offering. No, that's wrong. You just don't know what the workaround is. Doesn't mean there isn't a workaround. And there's several of them, really. So I honestly think life is like that. Life doesn't do black and white. Life doesn't really do black and white. Life doesn't do lines. It does gradations. You know, the water in the river is never in the same place. Between the water and the land is never the same. You know what I mean?
And between the sky and the sea is a bridge for the water into the place where the rabbits live.
Thanks a lot for fucking up my really great metaphor.
We want to thank you all for being part of this early podcast episode of the Working Actor NYC. You can find out more information at theworkingactornyc.com. Wherever you're listening to this or watching this, please rate, review, subscribe, and drop us a comment in the DMs so that we can know what it is that you're working on in your acting career, so that we can talk about it.
Talk about it. Bye.
All right, friends. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.